coming tonight. For those of you who don't know, we are the Walsh Memorial Bell Choir from right here at the Presbyterian Church in Morris Plains, New Jersey. This is the 56th year of the Walsh Memorial Bell Choir. It started in 1968 with just 2 octaves of handbells, and over the past 56 years, it has added 4 octaves to become the choir that you see before you. With the exception of 2020 and 2021, the Walsh Bell Choir travels every single year on a summer tour. Since 1968, some of the places that they have traveled would be all around the United States, and then locations like Canada and Mexico, France, Germany, Switzerland, and then last summer we went over to England and we played concerts in a variety of cathedrals across the country. So I am Amy Baza, and I am the director of the Walsh Choir. I've been directing Walsh since 2020. The choir that you see here today has only been together, normally I say since September, but really we had an addition in about December, January. Last year we lost 2 graduating seniors. We welcomed 2 new ringers this fall, and then in the middle of the year, we welcomed yet a 3rd. We have an age range from 7th grade to 12th grade, about 12 years old to 18 years old. Not all of the students in the choir are members of the church. Some of them are just fantastic musicians who are just looking to add to their musical repertoire by playing the handbells. Many of them play a variety of other instruments. They hold down jobs. They excel in school, in musical theater. They play sports. They are very, very busy. And they're just amazing human beings. And I count myself as very fortunate to get to work with this group of kids. So the first place that we just played for you is called The Rejoicing. It is a piece by Handel, but it was arranged by Martha Lynn Thompson, who is a fairly prolific handbell arrangement. She does arrangements. She also writes some of her own music. It's a pretty light piece. It's very familiar to many people. Kind of helps us limber up and prepare for what's coming next. So our next tune is a piece that dates back to the Middle Ages. It is called Fantasy on Kingsfold. Kingsfold is a folk tune that was set to a variety of different lyrics in England back in the Middle Ages. You would hear the same tune over and over, but every time you heard the tune, it would have different words that went with it. And then in 1906, Ralph Vaughan Williams heard the tune, and he actually set the lyrics to the hymn, I Heard the Voice of Jesus Say, to that tune, and then it finally kind of stuck, and that's where we are today. This particular version of Kingsfold starts out very simply. You can very clearly hear the melody, but then it continues to grow until we get to the end when it becomes majestic, and then it comes full circle and goes back to the simple melody again at the end. It's one of our favorites, so please enjoy Fantasy on Kingsfold. of being the director is that you can pick music that you enjoy and by composers that you enjoy. So for me, William Payne is one such composer. I think we played a Bill Payne piece every year since I've been here, each year getting a little bit more difficult. Bill Payne grew up in Ashtabula, Ohio, and his parents were best friends with my grandparents. Bill Payne eventually made his way to Morristown, New Jersey, as did my father, because it's a small world. And Bill Payne founded the handbell choir at the Morristown Presbyterian Church. And he worked with a man named Dwight Menard, who followed him into the church. They worked together for a while, and then when Bill Payne moved on, Dwight Menard took over the music program at the Morristown Church. Unfortunately, Dwight was only at the church for a few years before he passed away. And so Bill Payne decided to honor him by composing a piece of music in honor of Dwight Menard. So that is the piece we're going to play next for you. It is a complicated piece. It's a complicated piece even to listen to, and it celebrates a man who had a complicated life. And if you really listen to the music, you'll kind of hear everything that we all experience in life. You're going to hear joy, you'll hear pain, you'll hear chaos, and ultimately you'll hear some resolution. So please enjoy Elegy. opportunity to hear some of our pieces and some of our techniques. We'd like to explain them to you. Many of you in the audience are regular faces, so you probably know all of these techniques, but for those of you who don't, we're going to start with something that everybody loves to do because it's a great way to kind of get some sound, a short staccato sound, but not one that's overpowering, and that is through malleting. You'll see that in some of our pieces, everybody's holding a stick with some yarn at the top of it, and that is a mallet. You have to use yarn so that you don't decimate the bell when you mallet, but Joey is going to demonstrate some malleting for us. Some malleting. Thank you, Joey. Another way that we can get that short staccato sound is, and we don't do this with the bass bells, and you'll understand why in a moment, but we generally use with this table of bells, sometimes the middle bells, but it's called a thumb damp, and it's just another way to get a short staccato sound, but it's a little bit more muted. So Trevor, would you show us a thumb damp? Thank you, Trevor. Another way that we can get that short staccato sound without using our thumb, without using a mallet, is by plucking the bell. And literally, you reach inside the bell, you take the clapper, and you throw it down with your thumb. So Henry, would you show us how to pluck the bells? Thank you, Henry, plucking the bells. Different kind of technique you've heard in the pieces that we played, you're going to hear more tonight, is the shaking of the bells. The shaking of the bells, kind of, instead of just playing the note and holding it for a few beats, it offers you a little bit of a different... Emma, would you show us some shaking? All right, Emma with the shaking. One of the other staccato methods that we use is one that is super satisfying at the end of a long, tough day, and that is when we martelate the bells. And literally when we martelate the bells, we just kind of slam them down into the foam. Carefully, but we slam them down into the foam. And so Esther is going to show us how to martelate. Martelating. Sometimes you want that initial martelate sound, but you want the tone to continue on, right? Which is difficult once you've slammed the bell into the foam. And so we do something called a mart lift. And with a mart lift, you martelate, but you very quickly, and the timing in this has to be precise, lift the bell back up so that the tone can reach out into the air. So Charlotte, would you show us a mart lift? Give us another one. Another one. There we go. Mart lift. Mart lift. With the higher you go, the harder it is to play staccato and still have that tone resonate, still have it be able to be heard, right? We don't sometimes we'll use the mallets on these bells, but not very often because it just isn't really even a sound. So there's a way that we can create a staccato note in the higher bells without having to slam it into the table, without having to use our thumbs, without using a mallet, and that's called a ring touch, where you ring it and then you damp it against your shoulder as quickly as you can to create that staccato sound. So Sammy, will you show us a ring touch? That's a ring touch. The opposite, complete opposite end of the spectrum is when we want to play a bell and we want that sound to just go on, but we want it to have kind of a cool effect, kind of like a car driving by, right? You know how if a car's going by, it's quiet, it's like, meow. So we can do that with the bells. It doesn't sound exactly like that, but we can do that with the bells. So Sarah, would you show us a tower swing, please? It's much more dramatic, but yes, that is a tower string. I should have put it here. That was it. And what Sarah did is exactly what you should do with a tower swing, which is look behind you first. So, thank you, Sarah. We don't just have bells playing out on the table. We also have a set of chimes that play. And the chimes offer us just a little bit more of an ethereal sound. They're a nice counterbalance to the bells. And Cassie, would you play some chimes for us, please? And those are our chimes. And finally, we have a technique which isn't really a technique, but it's a different way of playing the bells, which you really don't hear very often in handbell music, but it's just such an amazing sound when it is done well, and that is using what we call a singing bell. A singing bell is when you have a wooden dowel, and you literally just run it around the outside of the bell, and it creates, rather than having to ring the bell over and over to keep that tone going, the dowel against the bell just continually has this sound that is produced as long as you are touching the bell with the dowel. So Elliot, would you show us how we use a singing bell? It takes a little bit to get going, so. It's coming, but yes, that is how we do the singing bell. Thank you, Elliot. Our next piece is a piece called Ruru Chu, and it is a villancico, which was a pretty popular musical and poetic form in the Iberian Peninsula and Latin America in like the 15th to 18th centuries. It uses malleting, it uses martellating, which give it kind of this rhythmic vitality to it. It kind of drives the piece. If you listen, you'll be able to hear that driving piece with the mallets. You'll be able to hear some dynamic changes with change throughout. It's a very exciting piece to play. It has been on our list for a while. Trevor actually loves this piece and asked us to play it several years ago. This is the year we felt like we were ready for it. So please enjoy Ruru Chu. Ruru Chu for you. We have a little bit of a bell malfunction, so Trevor is going to replace that bell. So I'm going to actually do something now that I was going to do a little bit later in the concert, and that is talk about 2 of our 3 graduating seniors. This year we have 3 seniors who are leaving. At our appreciation concert, our 3 seniors were gifted with a silent bell, which is what we traditionally give our seniors here. It doesn't have a clapper inside. They are gifted this. They take it with them to remember their time here at Walsh. One of our seniors, Callie, is not able to be with us on tour this year, but we do have 2 of our seniors, Elliot and Esther. So Elliot, come on up here for a second. So this is Elliot. Elliot has been ringing bells for about 6 or 7 years, and next year Elliot is going to be attending Drew University. Elliot is a photographer. Elliot does a variety of things in their spare time. Fencing, that's right, fencing. Elliot adds to the choir just a constant smile, a constant effort. Elliot is someone who is always taking other people under their wing, just kind of making sure that people feel comfortable checking in. Elliot is somebody that I can always rely on. And Elliot is going to be very missed next year. So if we could give Elliot a round of applause. And this is Esther. Esther is also graduating and leaving us this year. Esther's been ringing bells for about 7 years, we decided. Esther is going to spend next year focusing on her art, on her writing. Esther's going to be staying in the area, so I'm hoping that we can kind of tempt Esther back every now and then. What Esther brings to the choir is a phenomenal sense of humor. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know, but Esther can keep me in stitches all day long. And she's quick with the wit, too. And sometimes when things are going a little bit crazy here, Esther will just quietly say something under her breath just for me to hear. And it is exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. So I am very much going to miss you next year, Esther, because you bring so much to me and you bring so much to the choir, and you've been such an active member for so many years. So let's give Esther a round of applause. And now, River 2. So our next piece is another piece by Bill Payne, and it is called Bread of Angels. As you heard with Elegy, Bill Payne writes these epic, sweeping pieces for handbells. This one is definitely no exception, as it blends our chimes and our handbells in difficult patterns throughout the entire piece. One thing I should mention is that, and you'll understand why I'm mentioning this in a moment, our tour is completely self-funded. The choir is self-funded every year. We fundraise throughout the year to pay for our hotels, to pay for our equipment van, a 15-passenger van in addition, our gas, our meals. This year we'll be playing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so we had to purchase tickets because, you know, you'd think they'd be so excited that we were playing for them, they'd let us come in for free, but we'll also be going to Cedar Point Amusement Park and all of the other incidentals along the way. And I tell you this because it can be difficult to raise that kind of money for the tour, so I try to include some incentives along the way. One of the incentives that I had this year was that the ringer who sold the most fruit in our fruit sale could choose one of the pieces we rang on tour this year. And so Emma and Charlotte Traver raised the most money in the fruit sale this year, and so Emma and Charlotte I really think Emma chose it and Charlotte went along with it, but chose Bread of Angels. And so that's the piece that they chose, and so that's the piece that we're going to be playing for you. I shall also mention at this point that there is a free will offering basket in the back if you would like to help us on our way, but don't feel obligated to do so. So please enjoy Bread of Angels. So our next piece is a piece called Quickening Spirit by Phoebe Young, or as I like to call it, the Esther Show. We have already met Esther, and if you watch us play this piece, that moniker will make a lot of sense to you once we start playing. Quickening Spirit is an amazing piece. It's dynamic, it's exciting. Phoebe Young, who is the composer, is from Hong Kong, and she's continuing to churn out new music that sounds great. It explodes with rhythm. And in this particular piece, you will hear the singing bell that we demonstrated before. There is a section of the piece in which some of our bells are employing the singing bell technique in the back, which is just, like I said, going to be that constant tone in the background while everybody else is playing. It's like somebody singing a note and just holding this note for an incredibly long and impressive amount of time. When the main melody returns, you're going to be like, wow, this piece cannot get any more exciting, and then it does. So we hope that you enjoy the Esther Show, or as some people like to call it, Quickening Spirit. this time, I'd like to have the ringers introduce themselves to you. I'm going to ask them to tell you their first names. They'll tell you how old they are, and they'll tell you their favorite thing about ringing in Walsh. Your name, how old you are, and your favorite thing about ringing in Walsh. And while they are thinking of their favorite thing, because they're all going to want to say spending time with me, so they all have to think of something different, I want to take a moment to shout out the adults that are coming with me on this trip. We are going to be driving out to Chicago over the course of 2 days, and then we'll be making our way back across the country playing concerts as we go, and our itinerary is on the back of your program, so you can kind of take a peek at that. I probably could take them all by myself, but that would be very difficult. So I always bring with me some amazing adults. So the first adult that is coming with us this year is Judy Yap. Judy is Elliot's mom, and Judy, if you'd stand up for a second. Thank you to Judy. Our next chaperone that is coming with us is a familiar face to those of you who go to the church. This will be the second tour that Steve is going on with us, and this is former student of mine, Steve Gaydon. And as I mentioned before, we had a different chaperone who was going to come, along with one of our ringers who was going to come. Neither of them are able to come. We found this out on Tuesday. So not only did I need somebody who was going to chaperone, but I needed somebody who was going to ring as well. And so I quickly put out the call, and Amy Traver has agreed to chaperone and ring. And I should mention that Amy has subbed for us a million times over the course of the year, but never that part. And so Amy has only been ringing that part since 4:30 this afternoon. And if you didn't know, you wouldn't know, because she's doing a fabulous job. So Amy, thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna start down here. Again, your first name, your age, and what you enjoy the most about ringing in Walsh.
I'm Sammy. I'm 14, and my favorite thing about ringing Walsh is going on tour.
I'm Emma. I'm 15, and my favorite part about bells is either ringing bells or my friends.
I'm Trevor. I'm 17, and my favorite part is the people.
I'm Sarah. I'm 17, and I like my friends, hanging out with the choir.
I'm Esther. I'm 18, and I like the teamwork in the bell choir.
I'm Cassie. I'm 13, and I like the people.
I'm Charlotte. I'm 13, and I like the things we play. Yeah, the songs.
I'm Amy. I'm old, and I like it keeps my brain working and multitasking. It's a lot of thinking, so I feel like it keeps my brain and stuff.
I'm Elliot. I'm 18, and my favorite part is probably when we mess around and play songs as fast as we possibly can.
I'm Joey Martella. I'm 15, and my favorite part is making friends.
Hi, my name is Henry Rossi. I'm 14, and I just like the concerts.
And I'm Amy. I'm older than the other Amy, and I just love the kids. So our next piece that we're going to ring for you is a piece that we have rung a million times over the years, but it is one of our favorites. It is a crowd favorite. It is Rondo Pasacaya. It is by the prolific handbell composer and arranger Cynthia Dobrinsky. It was written in 1986. It's one of her most famous pieces. You can find it everywhere across the country, across the world. Some choir is playing this at every minute of the day, pretty much. Originally, it's a composition for 3 to 5 octave handbell choir. It's a variety of technical challenges. You're going to hear the same melody over and over again, but you're going to hear it performed in a variety of different ways. Pasacaya itself means a set of variations that are repeated over a bass line, and it's usually in triple meter in 3/4 time. So, like I said, you're going to hear the same thing over and over again, but it won't register as the same thing because it's played in so many different variations using so many different techniques. We love it. We hope that you love it. So, Rondo Pasacaya. again for coming tonight and spending time with us. For our closing piece, we will play a piece that speaks to the upcoming national holiday, the 4th of July. The piece itself needs no introduction, so please enjoy William Griffin's arrangement of The Stars and Stripes Forever. and sending us on our way. We have refreshments in Westminster if you'd like to join us. The air conditioning is on. So we would love to chat with you before we pack up the vans and go home to get a good night's sleep, to be back here bright and early to leave for Chicago in the morning. So thank you again for coming.